and welcome to another episode of the Shooters Roll podcast made by fans for the fans. I'm your co-host, D-Swizzle, and tonight joined by the man, the myth, the legend. How's it going, 3-Point Demon? How's it going, RJ?
Yeah, Mr. New York Knicks himself finally returned. Pretty good, man. Yourself?
Yeah, pretty good, mate. I'm in enemy colors today, sporting the Philadelphia 76ers jersey for my boy Ben Simmons. Shout out to Ben. And shout out to the Sixers, who have been in recent days decimated by the NBA's health and safety protocols. Not looking good, is it?
No, it's not looking good. No. The NBA, I'm pretty sure at the moment, sweating in their pants at the moment. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
it looks like there's going to be another bubble, or it's going to be the suspension of the season.
Well, let's start with this topic, Jay. Your thoughts on the medical protocols? The NBA's health and safety protocols at the moment. Just a quick explanation for our listeners who aren't following it as closely, and the teams most impacted by this.
So according to the document that's been placed by the NBA, there's just a couple of them. I mean, there's a lot of provisions that's been put in place, but just a couple would be occurrence of independent cases not spread among players or staff, or small or expected number of COVID-19 players will not require a decision to suspend or cancel the season. Okay, so let's just put it out there. But again, we've already had how many teams already mentioned in that? Like at least 4 or 5, and it's growing. So let's take that into note. So another one is anyone who tests positive will have 2 routes to return to work. Go 10 days or more after the first positive test or onset of symptoms, or test negative twice at least 24 hours apart via PCR testing. Okay. Another player, this one is any player who tests positive, even if asymptomatic, will not be allowed to exercise for a minimum of 10 days, and then must be monitored in individual workouts for an additional 2 days.
Yeah.
So
let's use an example for our listeners just to bring it more to light. Let's take the Philly example and analyze that. Look, Seth Curry last week, he had ankle injury in any event, and he was sitting on the bench. And mid-game against the Nets, he was called to isolate. At the time, he was sitting next to some assistant coaches and also Joel Embiid as well. And he got pulled into a room, and he was told that he tested positive for COVID-19, which sent obviously a huge ripple effect throughout the Philadelphia roster, particularly the next game they were playing the Nuggets, and the 76ers fielded in what, in my view, putting it as blunt as possible, it was a G League team headed by, their number one talent on that game was Danny Green. 3-time NBA champion, former Laker, and Dwight Howard. They were the headline acts for that team. Mind you, Maxey did a bang-up job and scored something along the lines of 39 points in that game. Certainly took the opportunity forward, but that whole team was decimated. Ben Simmons was didn't play that game, as I understand it, but they ruled him more of out due to a orthopedic concern as opposed to a COVID-19 health and safety protocol issue. So Philadelphia, they've got a tough week ahead. I've seen their roster, their schedule for this week. They've got a 5-game slate, starting with the Hawks tomorrow, the Heat back-to-back on Wednesday and Friday, the Grizz on Sunday, and then our following Monday against the Thunder. There's no gimmies there as well. So even though they're leading the East with a 7-3 record.
I was going to say that. I mean, coming first in the East, it is the East, but coming first, it shows that they've actually done well so far. The acquisition of Doc Rivers into their system, and applying his principles as a coach has really helped them, as you can tell.
Yeah.
And acquiring two two veterans in Dwight Howard and Danny Green has really helped them to be number one spot in the East. So, but now with this COVID related issue, and then their schedule, I mean, I think it may change a little bit by the end of next week. So it's just a damn shame, I don't want to curse them, but I'm just seeing their schedule. I mean, they've got a pretty tough schedule, except for those last two games. For the last one game, the Memphis, the Thunder is still tough. I still think they're tough.
The Thunder are tough. They're starting to play some ball now. SGA is coming along.
Exactly.
And Valanciunas was sorry, not Valanciunas. Horford, old man Horford started to play a few decent games back to back as well.
Yeah.
So that's not a gimme by any stretch of the imagination.
Right.
Joel Embiid will have to play lights out. He's gonna eat. Statistically, he's gonna have huge games in the next couple. It depends on how the body holds up, obviously. No real back-to-backs there, which is a good thing. He'll have a day or more in between those games, so that's good for the process as well as the 76ers as a whole. But you are right. I spoke to T about the Sixers last week and how they're playing team basketball. They know their roles. They're not over-egging the pudding. Tobias is doing his thing, Mr. Consistent. There's been hardly any pressure on Ben this year regarding, having to shoot 3-pointers, because in part they've been surrounded by he's been surrounded by shooters in Green and Seth Curry. But this will be definitely a testing period, not only for the Sixers but also the NBA in general, because Philly's not the only team that's affected by the health and safety protocol. Lay us another team, Jay, who are also affected by this.
Well, the Celtics games and the Celtic and Heat game got cancelled today.
Yeah.
So that tells you that now it's taken another step where they had to postpone a game, because I think it was about Boston only had 7 players. I think the rule it was 8 players, but Boston had 7, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yep.
With Miami, there was only one name mentioned, with Avery Bradley. But with Boston, if you combine the injuries with COVID-related cases, it's quite a list. It's about 6 players. And those 6 players are actually quite of the main players. So that tells you how serious it really is, and how it's progressing with this sickness that's spreading, globally. So it's just a shame. And fingers crossed, I hope the NBA doesn't get cancelled, because seriously, we need the NBA. We need the NBA. We cannot afford to be cancelled. I mean, we're not the NBA. We're not earning money, but it's just for our viewership, for our love, for our passion. We need it to be around, right? So fingers crossed.
Let's put it in perspective. I mean, I think I read a stat yesterday. That the US had its worst day in terms of reporting, 290,000 cases yesterday. That's huge.
It's huge. Yes.
Huge. So it's filtering through. The reality is setting in. Life outside the Orlando Disney bubble, when teams have to travel on road games. But let's hope the NBA is on top of these things, and it seems like that they are. There is some strange anomalies, though, I've found in the last couple of days. My main one really was when Valanciunas got pulled mid-game for a health and safety protocol reason. It was halftime, and he got pulled playing the Nets. So that was, the Nets were obviously a team that had played the 76ers prior in recent times. So, but I think for JV in that particular matter, it had to do with a couple of his close contacts. But he is back, and he is slated to play in their next game. So he's avoided a lengthy spell on the sidelines, being what appears to be a close contact. So that was just one of the examples I found this week where it was a bit strange having someone getting pulled mid-game.
It is, and it's not even for anything that they didn't done stupid or anything. It's just purely for what's happening. But you know
Precautionary.
what?
Yeah, it
But
was
but
precautionary.
but you know what? You have to expect as well. They may even cancel games half up at halftime if you think about it. I
Yeah,
mean, anything can happen now. You don't know.
yeah.
I mean, anything's possible. So hopefully, fingers crossed, toes crossed. Hopefully, nothing dramatic's gonna happen because man, life without NBA is just, it's just different.
Yeah, just a rundown though. You mentioned the Celtics. They're gonna have an almighty task in the next few games with
Definitely.
their superstar, all-star, Jayson Tatum being out at least 10 to 14 days due to the health and safety protocols. How do you think that the Celtics will fare during that time?
It's going to be tough because, well, like we spoke off camera before, I think the main guy that you haven't really spoken about will be Marcus Smart. So Marcus Smart will pretty much have to lead the way in the team because Jalen Brown, I think, is there's nothing more mentioned with him. It's just by the looks of it, it's day to day. I think probably awaiting tests.
Yep.
You've got Kemba out with an injury. You've got Thies that's in the lineup. So you got Thies, you got Smart. But you
And
know,
their rook.
yeah,
Yeah.
but he hit the game winner. But more is expected. It is still a lengthy season.
Yes.
We still need them to perform. So we'll see. Hopefully, I think the top two teams in the East is going to be finding a different position next week.
Yeah.
That's just my
But
thing on it.
I mean, but props to Boston. They started slow
Oh
and
yeah.
now they're on top.
Props. Yeah,
With
equal
Philly.
first.
Yeah.
Yes. Props to them. Oh, I agree with that.
Yeah. They've pulled up their socks and started playing well. Their schedule for the upcoming week: Bulls on Wednesday. That is Sydney time. Celtics playing the Magic in a back-to-back the following day on Thursday.
Oh, that's a tough one.
They're playing the Magic again on Saturday, and the mighty Knicks next Monday Sydney time. So it's going to certainly be a challenge for the week. They got the Magic in a back-to-back set, and the Magic have been relatively playing good ball, but going through their own struggles with Fultz and his knee injury being out for the season. But all teams, I think, are finding some challenges along the way. And along the same vein as on the health and safety protocols, Dallas, the Mavs are also feeling the pinch with Brunson, Kleber, as well as Josh Richardson, and help me out here for the last one, and Brunson. Also under health and safety protocols. Luka's going to have to weave his magic.
Triple double, 40 points.
And he's got to improve his percentages. I think.
Yes.
It'll come along. I have every faith that Luka is the superstar that he is, and he's already in MVP consideration already.
Yes.
And he's only going to get better as the season progresses.
Absolutely.
As his conditioning improves as well. So Dallas is going to have to rely very heavily on Luka because they're a bit thin. And hey, Tim Hardaway Jr. 8 3-pointers yesterday. So fire him up, THJ.
Right. Hey, let's not forget Trey Burke, man. Trey Burke's balling right now.
Yeah.
People are overlooking that guy. Come on now. You got two Michigan ballers right now, but Trey Burke as well. When you see Trey Burke in college, I don't know if you watch his highlight, he's pretty good, man. He's a baller.
Of course. No, I spot talent. I mean, they're both, former Knicks. So, of course they're talented.
Look, I can't give you shit about the Knicks. At the moment, I have to admit they're performing. Okay?
Even lost 2 in a row, though.
I'll still give you a pass with that. That's fine. They're still doing better than the last couple of years. So you know what? Credit to you. Credit to the Knicks. They've done well.
Oh, look, and the stat I pulled earlier today that I showed you and surprised me as well. They're the third most stingiest defensive team in the league, which is it really that surprising with Tom Thibodeau as the head coach? I mean, not really, but given the Knicks lineup and their history of letting opponents dump on them.
True.
Over past years with multiple
Yeah,
career high nights in points. For certain players, it's a welcome change that they can show that they're defensively minded this season.
exactly, and they can actually apply what Thibodeau has given to them by theory. So if they've been given the theory and apply it, and it is showing, I'm just really impressed, to be honest with you. So there's no dumping on the Knicks at the moment. I'm just praising. It's all good.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
all
there's
good.
there's a lot of teams that we can state that we are surprised about.
Absolutely.
The pleasant surprises in terms of winning percentages have got to be, well, top of the East. 76ers have surprised me. The Pacers are doing their thing, but they're
Absolutely.
not huge surprises. I mean, the first one that comes to mind in terms of the ladder is Orlando at 6-4.
Yes.
Currently.
Yes.
And also the Cavaliers still holding on to that position of 8th place in the East at 5-5. But and when we look at the West, the Suns, hey,
CP3
second in the Wild Wild West at 7-3. So they're
led well.
playing very well. And I've noticed also that the Spurs have started playing some really good basketball of late in recent, couple games.
True.
Playing a very different brand of basketball, switching over to the modern times with more 3-point shooting. I know Pop was very against it, and seeing DeRozan and Aldridge just firing away from beyond the arc, it's you have to check twice, actually. Like, I've had to check twice about the situation, but props to them. I'm a big fan of their point guard in DeJounte Murray. I think he is a baller, and they've got a really good player also in Keldon Johnson, who's really coming of age as well. So props to the Spurs. Now, the flip side of the coin, Jay.
Yes, tell me.
Surprisingly disappointing. Who leads your surprisingly disappointing list? Who's right up the top of that list? Early season, that is. Yeah.
I'm just surprised that Denver is just 500 at the moment. I expect them to be honest, probably 3rd or 4th.
Yeah.
But I think I still think the fatigue from the bubble still affected them. I think the short turnaround from playoff to season has made a difference. I still think they haven't recovered. I still think that they're still getting their groove.
In saying that, I'll just stop you there.
Yeah.
Jokic is playing out of this world. He's got to be leading, aside from their 5-5 record. He's got to be up there in MVP voting.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Triple double, shooting efficiently. He is absolutely carried over his form from the bubble. Conversely, though, Jamal Murray's been up and down. This is Jamal Murray in his normal fashion during the regular season.
True.
But I expected a little bit more from Jamal, given his career highs and his outstanding play in the Orlando bubble.
True, but I still think the players that they've lost. I mean, if you ask the All Stars, it's not, the championships are not won by the All Stars. They're won by the in between guys. The Steve Kerrs of the world, the Craig Hodges, those sort of guys. But I still think the loss of Jeremy Grant, I think, is big for them.
We touched on Jeremy last week. Man, he's balling out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Got to be a league candidate for most improved player. Got to be.
Absolutely, yeah. Because I think he's been paid now, and now he wants more minutes, and he got it. He got both, and now, he's been balling. But it's unfortunate that his team is still on the bottom.
And Michael Porter Jr. has been subjected to a very long stint with the health and safety protocols of the NBA as well.
That's the thing. I think that's the thing we have to consider too. So unfortunately, Denver's at the bottom. Houston, of course, is disappointing because we're used to Houston the last couple of years.
Yeah.
As a contender.
3-5.
But I think we all 3-5 at 37.5%. I think we all know why. James Harden, the chemistry of the team. I think their the culture of the squad is not there. I think it's very touch and go. We'll see how we go today, and there's not a winning united front. So
then again, they got a superstar in Christian Wood there, and
true.
I think they've invested wisely in. And I've bragged about this with my close mates who've somewhat mocked me a little bit this week, calling Christian Wood and foreseeing that he's AD 2.0. I know it's a stretch, but is it that much of a stretch? I've seen some really good production from him in the first, 10 or so games this season.
I would say that's a good call. I think that's a good call.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't mock that because he's actually he's quite good.
Yeah.
He's a baller, so can't say anything bad about that. Apart from that, I think everyone else, well, Golden State is top 5, 6 and 4. I think they're quite good, considering what they have.
Hey, I mean, they fudged a win today. Steph didn't play that great.
Can you tell me the stats on that? Can you tell me the stats on that? Come on now.
Well, okay.
Please tell me what.
If you must, because I know you guys ratted out on Steph so hard. He had a very.
No, I'm just telling you.
2 of 16.
Yeah.
11 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists, 5 turnovers, and he only hit 1 3. However, the main stat is.
Yes. What's the main stat?
The W.
Okay. Are we talking about the team or are we talking about Steph here? Because I
could talk about Steph. Steph, I think, is a front runner for MVP, if not the front runner for MVP of this.
Oh, what?
Yeah. Fifth in
Front
the West.
runner.
Fifth in the West. Look. Let me break it down for you like a fraction. Okay.
Yes.
Steph Curry is absolutely balling. He's averaging 30.6 points a game, shooting 4.6 3-pointers, shooting at 45.8% from the field, 4.8 rebounds, 6.8 assists, 1.2 steals. And for someone who's got the ball in his hands that much, he's only committing 3 turnovers a game. Now,
how many?
3. He's basically getting 7 assists a game. So, 30 points a game, 7 assists, and 5 boards a game. That's my MVP, early season MVP candidate. Take a bow, Chef Curry. You're my guy.
This reminds me of a Jeremy Lin situation where he did good for the couple of games and the rest of the season he's sort of,
We'll see. Look, they have been a pleasant surprise because I didn't expect them to be 6 and 5, 5th in the West.
Yeah,
but it's still early. It's still early days, but the thing I do like about the Warriors is they still haven't got all cylinders, firing at the moment. Oubre is struggling. I saw this stat the other day that if you take away Oubre's 3-point shooting, the Warriors go from 18th best 3-point shooting team to the best in the league. That's just taking away Oubre's shooting.
That's not good. That's good.
Insane. That's one player making the difference of how the team performs. I mean, but you know what? I think Kelly's a very talented player.
No, he's talented. He's a baller. I agree.
And they've got him there to play defense as well because of his length. That 3-point shot will come in due course. I mean, look, the Warriors have only played 10 games. There's another 62 to go. Kelly will get it in sync. And, he and Wiggins have really got to step up because Draymond's not going to get you more than 10 points if you're lucky per game. So people have got a job to do, and it's a matter of the Warriors and Steph. Well, predominantly Steph being healthy.
Correct.
And being in contention. Because the back end of the season, if they're not in contention, there's going to be a lot of load management on Steph Curry, and it's not just Steph as well. It's a lot of superstars who aren't going to be close, but keep it within range, play off for that those playoff positions, and he'll be right. Now, pleasant. Oh well, not pleasant. Not so pleasant disappointment. The Hawks are top of my list. Started off really
Hot.
strongly. they won 3 of their first 4 games. Now they're sitting at 3-5. There's a bit of disharmony in the locker room with Trey, and also Trey Young and John Collins maybe having some beef. John Collins calling out Trey and critiquing him in a video session recently, as reported by The Athletic, for Steph's running of the offense. When you look at the numbers, just purely on the numbers are down. Trey last season was averaging nearly 30 points a game. This season, 24.7 points. Last season, Trey was shooting at nearly 44% from the field. This season, he's shooting at 40.9. The rebounds are down. The assists are down. Mind you, Trey's still getting 8.6 assists. And the turnovers are still quite high, nearly at 5 per game. And Collins as well is feeling the pinch. Maybe it's to do with Capella, the introduction of Capella into the lineup, eating up his numbers. But Collins' scoring has gone down from 21.6 last season to 17.2 this season. Still shooting effectively at 54.6%. His rebounds are noticeably down, nearly 2 per game at 7.8 rebounds a game. And, just all around, what's noticeable is his blocks have gone from 1.6 blocks per game last season to just 0.8 blocks per season. Now, is it chemistry? It's a bit of, Collins is a free agent this offseason. There's a bit of disharmony. I know he wanted to lock down a multi-year big fat deal this offseason, which didn't come. Maybe disharmony is starting to play in, or maybe it's Capella being the anchor in the middle as opposed to him. Just don't know.
I think it is the chemistry. Capella shouldn't be worried if he hasn't been given the ball a lot. Look where he came from.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But I think they want him to play a bigger role in the lineup, and I think the tension is building between Collins and Trey because of that. And of course, Collins has to ball out because he wants a bigger contract next season. So but if this thing continues to happen, I think Collins may go. Because
it's a little sad though, because that's a really good those two pieces are very good foundational pieces.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
A big and your point guard, that's Magic and Kareem, Shaq and Penny.
True. Throwback session right now. But I understand.
Throwback session. But foundational players where you can lock off, the person who will command the troops and someone to dominate in the middle. And hopefully they can turn it around. The East is there for the taking, and
absolutely
the early season form shows that the Hawks do have the personnel to do it. It's a shame though, because a bit of some disappointing news. Bogdan Bogdanovic has a knee injury, undisclosed timetable as yet regarding his recovery and return, but it looks like quite a lengthy stint on rehab and on that issue.
That's right.
The silver lining though, we mentioned earlier Jeremy Grant being a front runner in most improved player. Here's my one. DeAndre Hunter, absolutely killing it this season. Consistent minutes in the starting lineup. He's increased his points production this season to 16.4, up from 12.3 last season. Shooting at 51% from the field, getting 2.1 3-pointers in that, while shooting, at that high clip at 51% from the field. 6.8 rebounds, 2.2 assists, 0.6 steals, 0.7 blocks, and only turning over the ball once. Now, if you count out Jeremy Grant, who was already in the bubble showing his prowess as an up-and-coming player, if you take away Jeremy Grant and his stellar season, up there for me would be DeAndre Hunter to be one of the finalists for most improved player this season.
I agree with that. I agree. Who's your rookie of the year?
At the moment, it's hard to look past LaMelo given his last 2 performances. bordering on the triple double front, and the numbers. His cohesion in Charlotte seems to be great. Head coach is looking at playing all three guards, Graham, Rozier, and LaMelo together. That's purely on the basis of LaMelo's good play. That's
right.
forcing his way into the starting lineup. Hayward's been playing well.
Absolutely.
There's good things to like there in Charlotte. They're sitting, they're fighting it out at the moment. It's still ninth at 5-5, but it's still an early season. They're still working things out. But I do like the play of LaMelo.
Yeah.
He's adjusted well to the NBA life. I think he got a bit greedy in one of the weekend games where he passed off an open 3-pointer so that he could get his presumably his triple double, and the shot clock ran out on him, and he got a bit of a blasting from his teammates for searching out stats.
Yeah, I saw that.
But hey, he's young and
yes,
he's a ball. So that's all I have to say about that. Otherwise, I do like Tyrese Halliburton in Sacramento. I think he's a very promising player, steady hand. I think he's going to be great with Fox there. But it just means a little bit of an argy-bargy situation with Buddy Hield, and how Luke Walton is going to jig that lineup. I mean, hey, who knows? It could be a situation similar to Charlotte where the play of the Rook will force the coach's hand to play a 3-guard lineup, which he hasn't been shy of. I mean, I've seen games where Halliburton's been there at the death, and it's worked out, and he's a good 3-point shooter, nearly shooting 3-pointers per game. So there's a lot to like about him, and also the Kings picking up a steal at number 12 in the draft pick.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's right. I agree with that.
Yeah. Now let me know your thoughts about this. I'm going to pull up one more for today's episode of a team that has been, disappointing. Let's talk about the Raptors. 2-7, had the game, fought back today against the Warriors, was in the lead and eventually lost by 1 point today. Thoughts on the former NBA champions?
I think, earlier on, let's just say Siakam got paid. So early on in the season, he didn't really pick up his game, but now he's found his groove. Yeah. If you look at stats wise, Siakam included, their stats are up. Like you read up before, it's gone up. But I think, with the loss of Gasol, with the loss, of Leonard, with the loss of Green, is the other player?
Yeah, it was Green. But that was the previous season, yeah.
Yeah, but even of last season, they lost Gasol, they lost Ibaka.
Yeah.
The group cohesion has suffered. I think that has, you can't really pick that out if you look at people's stats. But that's one of those things where you can tell on the win-loss column, which now you can see that's suffered. It's not really bonding well. The team dynamic is not really there. Going from lead to lead, and then you got certain players that need to step up. I think they're a bit lost in translation when it comes to that, and that's why their record is what it is. I mean, they've got great players. They've got Siakam, they've got Van Fleet, you got Lowry. They still have good pieces. They've got a great coach, but it comes down to, I think, a team dynamic. So that's just my opinion. What's your?
I agree with you in wholly in that. I mean, when you look at the statistical numbers solely, Siakam's numbers points-wise are down this season from 22.9 last season to 19.6 this season. His rebounds stayed about the same at 7.5 to 8. Assist-wise, he's assisting more this season at 4.7. Lowry's numbers are eerily similar to last season at 19.4 points, 5.1 rebounds, and 7.4 assists. And statistically, Van Fleet is having a better season. He's upped his points to 22.3, shooting better at 46% from the field. He's upped his rebounds at 5 rebounds a game. His assists are slightly down by half of an assist per game. But overall, like you said, the team cohesion, I think Ibaka is being sorely missed there. They're trying to bring up Boucher to fill in that Ibaka role. Powell hasn't been playing well at all.
Yeah.
Just something's a little off, and I think they need to ride out they've certainly got enough talent there with their top three players, Van Vliet,
Absolutely. Yep.
Lowry, and Siakam. Boucher's coming along steadily as well. We just need more of that consistent play, and they'll definitely shoot up that Eastern Conference ladder, because again, it's the East, and you need to be consistent, string the games together, and then all of a sudden, hey, you're on top. So they have been disappointing, coming 13th at the moment, only bettering the Pistons, who've been really poor.
Yes.
And the Wizards, who we touched upon last week, and we're in a better position last week. And it's just sad what's happening in America's nation's capital there, with Thomas Bryant going down with a knee injury, out for the season. Look, Westbrook's gonna sit back-to-backs. It's going to be difficult for him. Beal is leading. I think last time I checked, Beal was leading the league in scoring and still playing a really great role, facilitating. So Beal is clearly, he'd be definitely an MVP consideration, but for the 2-8 record.
Oh yeah, true.
There is some good talent there. I think Hachimura is going to come along, and but the going down of Bryant is going to be sorely missed on the defensive end. Their rook in Avija, he's certainly a baller. He certainly can shoot the rock. He nailed 5 threes the other day. They are going to miss some scoring with Bryant out, but who knows? Could be the resurgence of Rolo. Robin Lopez, I think, might be the first center off the bench coming into the starting lineup. Maybe that will bring them that defensive stability that they need. And and hopefully reverse Bradley Beal's comment that the Wizards are just bad defensively and couldn't guard a parked car. So props to Bradley and his analogy, but quite relevant. They are the team that leaks the most points in the NBA, and it's definitely showing. So it all starts with defense, and they've got to do better. They're leaking like about 123 points a game.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah, so another disappointing team, obviously, are the Wiz. We've had high expectations, but I still do. I really do think that they will get their act together. They've got 2 All-Stars in the team. They are going to struggle without Bryant, though. But hopefully they've got enough pieces there. They do have pieces there. I touched upon this with T last week. They paid Davis Bertans quite a hefty sum of money to fill that Brook Lopez, 3 and block role, playing in the center position. He certainly needs to play a lot better and up to his salary tag. But they certainly have the talent there in those 3 players, Bertans, Russ, and Beal, to really make waves. Again, it all comes down to whether they want it.
How bad do they want it? Exactly.
Yeah.
They need to gel. They just need to gel.
Yeah.
And you got to give them time. So find their role, play according to the team, play according to the coaches' plays. Let's see what happens.
So hopefully some of these disappointments we'll be talking about in future episodes as being surprise improvers. And we will see. But look, it's a long season. It's certainly going to be challenging, and a few teams that we've discussed today, they're certainly going to feel the challenges a lot more, especially this coming week with key personnel being out. But
True.
Final thoughts before we wrap up this episode, Jay?
Please don't shut down the NBA. That's all I got to say. Everyone stay indoors. Don't go anywhere. Don't even go to the strip clubs. Please just stay indoors. Do not do anything else. Just play ball, please. That's all I got to say.
That's it. Well, Well said. Very practical. Social distance. It's becoming. We all are getting pretty used to it. It's nearly been a year since the pandemic information broke out, but it's definitely going to be a challenging season for all. But hey, we're here to talk about it. We're the Shooters Roll.
That's right.
Made by fans for the fans, and you can follow us and our latest episodes on our YouTube channel, as well as where all good podcasts are found, notably on Spotify, Google, as well as Apple Podcasts, and our social pages on Facebook and on Instagram. Now, I know Jay's going to have some key apparel and key lifestyle pieces coming up and dropping shortly. Going to look forward to that.
It's coming. It's coming.
Yeah. So check out those pieces that Jay's going to upload shortly. Until then, keep shooting, keep hitting those threes.
Have a good night, guys.